Why do you choke under pressure in competition when it really matters the most? Even though in training it's fine?
Because you don't prepare as well as you think you do, and you don't know yourself as well as you think you do. Let me explain what I mean.
Sports psychology researchers years ago found that there's something called the individual zone of optimal functioning, or the IZOF. That means every single person has a zone. Yeah, actually. Get in the zone is not just a phrase. It's actually the physiological, so physical, and emotional, mental, so in your brain, arousal level where you perform the best. That means how hyped you are, how much energy you have, how awake you are. In physiology, we just call that arousal. If your arousal or your energy is too low, you're gonna be super sleepy, you'll be sluggish, you'll be unfocused, you might even be a little bit bored. You're not with the program, you're making some lazy mistakes. And if you're too hyped, and you need to be less hyped than that to bring your optimal performance, you're anxious, you're jittery, you might even literally be shaking and sweating, you're tight, you might have an upset stomach, you're having stress reaction. Elite athletes know their personal zone. They know it very well, and they adjust their training around it. They also adjust their competition day around it so that they know how to get themselves into their optimal zone right before they're ready to start performing, and then even during. So as soon as that whistle blows, the music starts, go off, queen, we're ready. Before and while competing, they can check in, hey, how am I doing? How do I need to make small, minute adjustments so that I can get back down into my zone and perform the best? Real competitive preparation requires you to know what your zone is, how to get into it, and practice getting into it under stress situations. If you're prepping for stress situations without stress situations, an athlete with a lower zone is gonna need a lot more rest beforehand. They might need quiet music, they might need time alone. They're probably gonna take in way less caffeine on that day in general, but definitely not right before. They're not smoking cigarettes, they're not taking Red Bulls to the gym, they've not got snooze in their mouths, they're not doing that. And yes, we can argue about whether or not it's performance or health enhancing to use any of these things, but at the end of the day, athletes do it, so let's be serious about it. So this athlete that's on the lower end of the scale doesn't need major exertion right before. As soon as they start competing, as soon as that whistle blows right before that competition, their physiological and mental arousal is going to go way up. So they need to start lower. They don't need to already be in high arousal. They need to be low so that when it starts, they can go up and not pfft. On the other end of the spectrum, an athlete with a higher zone is going to have higher energy needs. They need more energy to stay in their zone, to stay focused. They're likely moving around a lot. They're gonna have an extended warm-up that's a little bit longer. They can move themselves a lot more. They're gonna have louder music, likely also with more beat. They're likely to take in caffeine over that day and likely also right before. Now, here's the thing when you're in a team. An athlete who needs a lower zone but is getting carried away by a higher zone athlete, they're gonna crash and burn. So we don't want those low-end athletes to get too high on the arousal scale because there's just high-energy athletes around them. We want them to be able to focus or communicate that they have other needs. Each athlete is responsible for knowing their own zone and figuring out a preparation timeline, which we call pre-performance routine, in order to help them get into their zones. If you are not doing this, you're missing out on a lot, including focus and attention, resilience against stress, and getting to know yourself and your performance needs a whole lot better. So start today.